If you decide to step into an armed robbery, you better have that warrior mindset to prevail no matter what. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Shows us an armed robbery on a veterinarian clinic of all things. And thankfully there was an off-duty Las Vegas police officer there who was able to stop the threat. Going to learn some important lessons here about a counter ambush in an armed robbery, about firearm retention in a deadly force encounter, and about stopping the threat and being able to do that from various positions. So this guy walks into a veterinary clinic and announces an armed robbery. And I don't know why he would pick a veterinary clinic to rob, but he decides to rob the clinic. We see this lady pick up her cat or dog or whatever and try to get out of the way. And there's an off-duty officer that puts a gun in his face, decides he's going to fight this guy who's launched the armed robbery. Well, he puts the gun too close to the guy, and now the fight is on, and they are fighting for the off-duty officer's gun here. The armed robber's decided he wants a fight. We don't see that very often, but this officer had a fight on his hands, and we can see him have the upper hand here. He is in top position. Our officer's on the bottom position, fighting for this gun, and let's be real, fighting for his life. Thankfully, the armed robber here is going to get tired of fighting the officer in just a minute, and when he turns to leave, the officer is able to actually trip him and take him into custody. And this one ends there. Let's learn some lessons out of this one. 8 lessons on our website as always, but let's learn about some of the most important ones here. First one is these armed robberies happen in the weirdest places. Armed robbers aren't the smartest guys ever, and when the officer decides to protect himself, you see he says in that moment, nope, I'm going to do this, and as this guy turns around, he's a threat to me, and so he draws his gun. You can see it real close there, and he got a really good fast draw. That's great. But now he puts that gun way out in front of him. Learning to shoot from a retention position with that gun close held at close distances like that will keep this from happening. But because he puts the gun out there within arm's reach, the armed robber reaches out and grabs it, and now he's got a hand fight for his gun. Firearms retention skills, incredibly important for self-defenders. Now he's got him on the ground. Now we want to talk about ground fighting skills. You got to have the ability to fight as a self-defender. You can't just have gun skills. You got to have the ability to fight because these kind of things happen. And having some ground skills is important. If this officer had known some basic jiu-jitsu, some basic ground fighting skills in several different arts, he would have been in a much better spot. To be able to use his feet here would have been incredibly helpful and could have ended this. And I can just hear all the jiu-jitsu fans of active self-protection freaking out over the opportunities that this guy had. Having some ground fighting skills is incredibly important. But at the end of the day, this officer held onto his gun enough, tripped this guy up enough, and ended the fight effectively. So let's learn some skills here on shooting from retention, on firearms retention, on being able to fight and fight from our back in order to cover our ass.